I'm going to start with perhaps the most improbable one. Normally it's done at the end of the meeting. I want to do it first. When do we meet next and where? And I want to propose that we meet in coordination with Freedom Fest. It's something we've done in the past. Lots of people going there. We may have people going there anyway. It's a good opportunity. The Gary Johnson campaign will be there, so we can coordinate with them for any reports. I welcome a motion to that.
Do you have the dates and where and when?
I do not have the dates.
End of July.
Robert, do you have the dates?
Just to make a point, last time when we coordinated with Freedom Fest, as you all know, Freedom Fest does not occur on a Sunday, so we were able to get a room for the entire day on Sunday at Bolly's.
And what, does anyone know the dates?
It's usually the second
week in July.
July 11th, 14th.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Chairman, actually, the last time we had an event that coincided with Freedom Fest, it was only a one-day event. Is it your intention to make it a two-day event?
At this point, I think that if we're diligent and civil and keep the topics at hand, that we can do our business in one day. Mr. Redpath.
Can somebody please find the exact date for sure?
Yeah.
Could somebody with a smartphone?
July 14th, actually, sir, is looking at it.
So it's probably where?
So the meeting Sunday, July 14th, if you're doing it Sunday.
And where?
No,
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
July.
Bali. Always at the Valley.
Sunday is July 15th.
Then it's Sunday, July 15th. If you're meeting Sunday.
Wayne, do you know the dates of Freedom Fest?
Dates what?
Of Freedom Fest?
Right around July 15th, 16th. I'm opening the thing, but I don't know, 15th or 16th.
11th to 14th.
And Sunday is the 15th.
Start guys.
If I may, I'd just like to put out to everybody in the room, if you know any conflicting dates, including things like state conventions or other major freedom movement activities or events that are scheduled. So we don't schedule something in conflict necessarily.
Robert?
Yeah, I should also point out that we received a special discount, I guess. Maybe Mark Eagle could address that, but I believe that we could get the early bird special for Freedom Fest for everyone through opening of Freedom Fest. So the discount is
That's what we
right.
announced, so $3.95.
Yes, sir. I can't remember the name.
Sorry, Rich Tomaso, Region Rep. One concern, a lot of activists I know complain about Freedom Fest. It's like the most expensive liberty event in the country. You know, if we're asking, if we have to buy admission in addition to the go.
No, we've not. It would be held in coordination with that same, because many of the people here may be going anyway because they've got hugely deep pockets. But it does not. There's no obligation to buy packages or be an attendee to the Freedom Fest itself in order to attend an LNC meeting at that. It is a practice I know that the LNC has done many times over the years, or at least multiple times. It seems like a good opportunity. I believe that there are going to be issues that will come up regarding the Gary Johnson campaign. I think it's beholden on us to make sure that we coordinate with them with any actions that require the LNC to approve contracts and agreements and so forth, rather than going on some more than 3 months. We need to help their campaign because their campaign helps us.
That's something Mr. Chairman, I would also suggest, as long as we're talking about meetings, I would hope that we could keep it to one more meeting in this calendar year after that. And can we go ahead and schedule that weekend at least, and schedule the location later, post-election day, probably?
I have no opposition whatsoever to doing that. What I would prefer, though, is if we don't have time, I'd rather drop that off and deal with the things we have to deal with today. So that gives everybody an opportunity to check their calendars and see what time frames are good and which ones are not, and perhaps we can bring that up a little later. Could you bring that up in a later time?
I would like to bring it up on the LNC discuss list as soon as possible so that we could at least form it. We're talking post-election day is usually what happens for the last LNC meeting of the year, and given that holiday time, the sooner we stake out that weekend, the happier I think we will all be.
So what I hear you saying is this could even be handled with a mail ballot so long as we're diligent and discuss and publish our schedules.
a general agreement handled by email, I think that'd be okay.
Great, now let's do that. Is there a motion to schedule the next meeting concurrent with Freedom Fest? So is that the
Well, first, I think if we talk about are you sure it should just be one day? It seems like we're going to have a lot of things on our plate, and then this election's coming up. This is going to be probably the only thing prior. If there's going to be organization on this party in terms of how this party is going to respond to what's going on inside the Johnson campaign, this next meeting, we're certainly not well equipped to handle it here. This next meeting is going to be the only opportunity for us to get all of our oars in the water.
before you move forward, I have heard two motions and a second. One would you like to change? Thank you. Now the discussion's in order. Mr. Redpath.
We had, I thought, a very efficient meeting out there 2 years ago that easily fit in. It could be a full day, one full day, you know, it really worked. I went over and had a lovely soiree at Chez Root, and it worked. All I can say is when we did this in 2014.
If I can just interject a personal comment, in my many years on the LNC, I've observed that LNC meetings are like gas and they expand to fill available space. So, in support of that, I believe that this body has consistently shown that when time is limited, they manage to compress the action into a shorter period.
Mr. Chair, that was also not an election year.
Further discussion, Mr. Olson?
I'd just like to point out, yeah, I agree with Mr. Myers that it's probably much more than one day to get this news and see off the
Please
road,
speak up.
and it will be a third time.
Norm, please speak up, they can't hear you.
Okay. No, I point out that I would agree with Mr. Myers that one day in this presidential election year is going to be kind of tight for a brand new LNC. And it'll be the third meeting in a row in Las Vegas.
Mr. Lark.
Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate, given, I think Mr. Myers is correct in terms of the time, perhaps we could set an event that would be, the anticipation would be 2 days. If we finish our business the first day, we take the second day to use it for strategic planning or blue sky thinking, something along those lines.
Excellent suggestion. I would second that as well. Is that, are you going to make that as a form of motion?
I would amend the current motion on the second.
Is there any objection to modifying the motion? So that would be then on the Sunday and the Monday, is that correct?
Actually, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That would be the 15th and 16th. Am I hearing that right?
Yes, Monday.
I would prefer Saturday, Mr. Chairman, I would prefer Saturday and Sunday, but
Me too. I prefer Saturday and Sunday.
Didn't you say Freedom Fest?
Saturday and Sunday is obviously better for anybody with a job. But do we, you're going to see me recognize staff members just like their LNC members because they're additive. I will tell you right now that my intention is to not, if you're an alternate, the process I prefer is that you replace your primary that you're alternate for in order to ask your questions. If somebody from the gallery needs to bring up or wants to bring up a comment, then they ideally should go to their regional rep and ask that regional rep to ask this body if they can be heard. We do need to maintain order always on the LNC. I want to make sure you guys understand how I think it should work. And I believe it's the discretion of the chair to do so. But Robert has a point of information I think that we need to know about the Freedom Fest and that weekend.
I know that Saturday is a busy day at Freedom Fest. It's probably their busiest day. I doubt a room will be available at Ballet's on Saturday for our use, since they tend to actually charge money for those rooms on Saturday. A lot of money, where last time we got a very good rate or free on Sunday. So, and then you got the closing, all their closing banquets and closing speakers on Saturday, right? So it's just a very busy day. Keep that in mind, that I may have to get us some very expensive space next door in Paris. If you think this place is expensive, you have no idea.
Yes, I would like to propose that we think about the nature of our meetings a little bit differently. I mean, we have a full house today, which I think is great, and of course, it's on the tail end of the convention, so we won't usually have this many people. But I think we want more participation. I think it would be awesome if every LNC meeting had this much participation, but if people can't really participate from the gallery, they're going to feel less inclined to come, and that will actually hurt our ability to, I think, be as effective as we can as a body, because when there's more people here, that means more volunteers, more input. I would like to propose that anybody from the gallery can just be recognized simply by a member of the committee by raising their hand and being called upon. And just ask that people from the gallery, with their discretion.
Yes, sir.
We're discussing a motion, and what you're talking about is not germane to the motion.
I was getting with the chair, it said,
I took a moment to just explain the procedure. And it wasn't really a debatable point because the chair does have the discretion to say who he's going to recognize and not recognize. I'm certainly open to a discussion at some point about who should I alter that. But at this point, the motion on the floor is regarding this meeting. I'm not going to take a position of saying yes or no with what you're saying because I think that's something that should be discussed separately from the motion on the floor. Yes, sir.
I believe the Sunday, Monday would be better. I agree with our headquarters team. But I have another motive in doing that. So many people who have unattended wallets and purses are going to be available on Saturday, by which I mean big donors at Freedom Fest, that I want a chance to help them grow spiritually. This red pass will be able to take the checks quickly to the bank for our ballot drives. I think that's a target-rich environment for us, and having us available, networking, is a good thing for our party.
What have you Rick?
Mr. Krause? Mr. Krause,
Yes, sir.
you have told us of the problematic and expensive room on Saturday. What do you know about Mondays?
I doubt that will be a problem.
Chairman.
Point of information, if we're talking about potentially a 2-day meeting, what typically would be a hotel night stay that
We would get the same discounted rate as Freedom Fest. I believe last year that was like maybe 105. So they could check online to see what their rate is, but they will extend extra rooms for our use as well at the same rates.
It's been my experience, if I can share with you, and I try to interject too much, but Vegas is one of those cities that is cheaper to fly in on a Saturday and out on Tuesday than it is to fly in on a Friday and out on Sunday, from my experience.
But hotel rooms are a fortune on weekends, and they're cheapest on Monday through Thursday.
But also, I recognize that there are people with things called jobs. And so it's something we need to weigh. It's this body's decision. I'm not going to state it. I'm not going to try to bulldoze anything into that. Start over.
One of the things that I found very interesting in all the literature that was distributed this weekend was a paper that talked about what percentage of the money spent by this body is going towards actual activism and political outreach. I very strongly feel we should not be spending money on meeting rooms. We could meet anywhere. We could meet outside, on a lawn someplace if we wanted to. And, people may laugh at this, but I really feel that it would not decrease the quality of our meetings to do that. And we'd save the party money that could go towards actually promoting freedom. So,
I welcome any motion from you. If you wish to make a substitute motion, that would be the best way to promote that, which would include a date and location of where the meeting would be, because at this point we're talking about when we're meeting and where we're meeting, and there is a fixed motion on the floor. Mr. Rice?
Before we use up all our time talking about this, call the question.
Second. Any objection to closing debate and moving to vote?
Can we repeat the resolution?
Yes, and I believe the Secretary, there are two motions on the
Two
floor.
motions on the floor. There was a motion, I think it was by John J. Myers, that we held our next meeting at Freedom Fest. That was seconded by Michael. Discussion with Dr. Mark then moved that we make our meetings Sunday and Monday, and seconded by Mr. Cloud. So
That would be a friendly amendment. I'd accept that as a
Which way do you guys want me as chair to act? As a strict parliamentarian where Robert says there is no such thing as a friendly? or that we're going to work and try to be expeditious and say friendlies are okay.
Friendlies.
Then don't ever pull up parliamentary crap in the future about that we don't do friendlies, okay? We'll all agree? I want us just to have a consistent set of rules. What they are. So I'm going to rule that since there was no objection to the friendly, that it is now the main motion and there's one motion on the floor. And that motion
What is that motion, please?
Could you reread that single motion?
Yes, that the motion Dr. Lark made was that we make our meeting on Sunday and Monday, the 15th and 16th of July, 2 days.
At this point, we'll move to a vote. All those, is this one of the substantive votes that we have to do by roll call?
Is there an objection?
Is there any objection to that date and time?
Objections to doing by roll call or objections
No.
to the date?
Objections
Do you object to that date or time?
No, but I believe strongly that every vote we do should be roll call vote.
Hold on.
But, okay, as a clarifying point, if there's no objection, then it is unanimous. And that means that every person that is recorded by the secretary as being present, it is a recorded vote. And this is why, without objection, and thank you for the correction, Mr. Redpath. That is a more expeditious way of handling it. This is all a learning experience for all of us. Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing none? Passed.